Welcome to NaySMR, the podcast for people who like me, not for people who like ASMR, because this is not an ASMR podcast. It's a NaySMR podcast. So if you like me, thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking me. If you like ASMR, you probably don't want to listen, unless you just like guys rambling about nothing. This week, I would like to give a special thanks to all of our $10 and up patrons, not sure exactly what word to use. I guess they're patrons, but Patreon, is that even a word? Does that made up for the website? So whatever you are, thank you for donating to all the videos. I put up about 8 videos a week. I'm trying to cut back because it's literally killing me. I'm surprised I'm doing this right now. I'm so tired. I slept for 3 hours last night. I've edited till 5:08 in the morning, so I'm gonna be cutting back, scaling down, making things a little more not just too much stuff coming out right now. I'm gonna focus on things. Talking Classics is coming. That's something I should talk about. People were excited for that. I've been writing that all week. Anyways, this is the intro. I'm already rambling. Thank you. I just wanted to basically say thank you to everyone who donates to keep all the videos going. I couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. And now, on to the episode 3 of NaySMR. Well, you made it a minute and a half in. Thank you to everyone who did. I guess you can skip. You probably just skipped, but I don't know what you skipped to. I guess you skipped to when the music starts. I'd love to thank Red Green Productions once again for letting me, or Green Red Productions. I think of that TV show. You guys ever watch the Red Green show? That's a show I used to watch when I was little, so I always think of that. Green Red. Thank you for the music. I love it. So this episode, I was going to talk about how I never have drank coffee. I guess I still will do that, but I was like, can I talk for about a half an hour about that? I'm sure I can. I could talk about not talking for a half an hour. I could not talk. No, I could not talk for half an hour. I was gonna say I'm so good at talking, I could not talk, but that doesn't make any sense. So here we go. There's already 29 minutes into not talking about not talking. Oh my gosh. All right, so here's the deal. I'm trying to genuinely make this podcast good. It's not working. I'm trying. I gotta get a major overhaul. More words. I can't say the words. That's the way. Every single freaking week, I cannot speak. I need a major overhaul. Is the tongue twister I was trying to say of this whole podcast, equipment wise, host wise, content wise. I need to get some new mics. I got a pretty good mic, but I can't keep hanging napkins and bandanas over the things to act as a spit guard. But if you know me and you know Talking Classics and any of my productions, things are made with garbage. I try to make as good as I could a thing I can with the little means I have, except for the short films. That's where I put all my effort and time into, and skill into those things. Those gotta look good, but everything else is just kind of junky. But I don't want this to be junky, so I was talking to my friend Nick from the Doughboys. I was on that podcast once before. That's a really great podcast. You guys should check out the Doughboys. I was talking with him because he's like a podcast pro about just like stuff I gotta get, and like how often I should do the podcast and all that stuff. So check out Doughboys. They're great. Listen to the episode I was on. They review fast food restaurants. I listen to it. I didn't tell you what it is, but just listen to it. They review fast food restaurants, and they go to like all these different restaurants and just like talk about the fast food. It's pretty funny. Two very funny guys, Nick and Mitch, two of my friends from the comedy world. Met them at the old Bright Citizens Brigade way back. So anyways, I was talking to Nick about like I gotta get mine focused and make it good because I want to do this regularly. I'm already a week behind because last week was a very difficult week for me. I was working a ton. So here we are. I'm a week late, but I'm gonna be making this. Once I get my new gear, I'm gonna be having a guest on every week from other podcasts and just people I'm friends with in the comedy world. So, or maybe not even comedy world, in the sad world, the sorrow world. What's the opposite of comedy? Sorrow. People in the sorrow world. Find some sad people and have them talk. Or I guess drama would be whatever. Just anyone I know. Excuse me. That's why it's not ASMR, because I burp a lot. I got chips stuck in my teeth still. I hope you can't hear that. All right. So once I get the gear, I'm going to be having a guest on every week. And I think what I'm going to do for my patrons, I'm going to do a bonus episode a week if I can squeeze it in, where it's just like this, me rambling. So these normal episodes you have been hearing for the elite few who've been watching since the beginning or listening from the beginning, these rambles will become like a bonus episode for people who pay on Patreon. They'll get like an extra episode if they want to hear my thoughts on nonsense. So that's eventually what will happen. That's the plan. I'm getting some art made, some podcast art. My friend Chris is working on some stuff, so there'll be I'm trying to make this legit, as I do like talking. This is like a talk radio show for me. It's pretty fun. Got like a whole arm holding the podcast up. Whatever this. I assume this thing I'm talking into is the podcast. This thing recording my voice. The arm holding up the microphone, the podcast microphone. It makes me feel like I'm a radio talk show host. It feels pretty cool, but right now I'm talking to you in an empty room, so I hope there's no echo. So anyways, that's the update on this podcast. So now onto the subject matter at hand, the fact that I've never drank coffee. I'm going to drink coffee. I'm going to try a bunch of different coffees with like a coffee professional, and I'm going to make a little video out of it because I thought it would be interesting. And then I'll do another episode after that video goes up on my YouTube channel, where I talk about the post experience of drinking coffee. So I've never drank coffee, and there's not really a reason for it. I just never have. I never needed to. I wake up and I've got tons of energy, and I go to sleep and I wake up again and I've got tons of energy because I slept. Well, not this week because I haven't been sleeping. But even still, when I don't have sleep, I've never needed like coffee to like get me going. You know, you're awake. I just eat food. I don't know what it is. Why? Maybe it's because I think most people don't need coffee, maybe. But then when they do, it's hard to stop drinking it. I think since I've never had it, it's just how I don't think I'm sluggish in the morning or anything. I just have energy. But I like to eat breakfast. I don't eat breakfast every morning. I mean, I want to, but sometimes I have to like go to an audition and leave at like 7 in the morning, or go film something at like the other day. Like that part of the reason I'm really tired right now is because I can't say what it is yet, because this podcast will come out before the thing I filmed comes out, but it's something that my audience will really like, and you'll see me in it. It's very exciting. Something that I love. So that you guys, me and another, I don't want to give it away at all, but me and a character I play, something we both love. Look for that. Anyways, I was up at 4 in the morning the other day to go be a part of this thing, and that's partly why this week has just been a lot of early mornings, and I just don't need coffee because I don't know why, but I do envy people who drink coffee because it looks cool and it smells good. But I should say I have tasted. I've dipped my tongue like ever so gently into like a bit of coffee, and it tasted horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I do like coffee ice cream, kind of, so it makes me think, well, if I can eat that, I could drink coffee. Coffee smells good, and I'd like the idea of going to a coffee shop and just sitting and sipping, being cozy. That's another thing with alcohol. I was going to talk about alcohol in another episode, but I guess I could maybe just make this whole episode about things I haven't done. But then it might go long. I'm trying to keep these episodes like a half an hour long. But I have drank alcohol. I drank alcohol for the first time when I was 34 years old. I'm 38 now, so I just turned 38. So basically like 3.5 years ago, whatever, I had alcohol for the first time. And I still don't. I absolutely hate it. It tastes disgusting. I don't like it at all. Coffee, I feel like would be cool to drink because I understand acquired taste. I get that. 99% of the time, I'm like, nope, if I don't like it, I'm never gonna like it, which is pretty much true. But I do. The reason I think I don't want to drink coffee, and I'm not going to become a coffee drinker. I just want to try it and say I drank a cup of coffee because I never successfully drank even more than a sip, if I've even had a sip. I did not like black licorice in the past. My dad likes black licorice, and then Seth my younger brother started eating black licorice. I think Josh, my older brother, might eat it too. Did I say drink? Anyways, they eat black licorice, and now I love black licorice because I started eating it a couple years ago. And what got me into it was, you guys need to check this out for real. There's a brand of licorice, red and black, and they have different other kinds too, called RJ's. RJ's licorice is from New Zealand. Apparently New Zealand is like the best licorice makers in the universe. I get it at Whole Foods. They can get it at other places. I was in Santa Barbara one time and I saw like a candy stand had like all these flavors I'd never seen. So you gotta at least, it's unlike any licorice I've ever had. The texture is amazing. The size of each piece is the best. It's soft. It's unbelievable. It's not like, it's its own thing. It's so good. I really can't praise it enough. RJ's licorice is so freaking good. If you threw a bag at your friend, you'd probably injure them. It's like heavy. It's very heavy. It tastes so good though. So anyways, there was no red licorice one time at Whole Foods. I just freaking wanted some soft licorice. So I was like, I'm getting the black licorice. I'm just going to eat it. My dad eats it. My dad's cool. I'm going to eat it too. I'm going to be cool like my dad. And I now love it because I made myself eat a bag. And I think because I'm used to like smelling it because Seth has it around, I now love black licorice. And I haven't had the red licorice in years because I eat the black licorice all the time. But RJ's licorice, check it out. So anyways, that being said, I feel like, okay, if I drank coffee, I'm sure I could end up liking it because it happens to every other living creature on earth who drinks coffee. But I still doubt that I will because I so dislike the taste of it. So my plan here is to go into a good coffee shop. The thing is, I would probably like a garbage coffee more than I would like real good coffee from like, there's coffee places like one called Intelligentsia out here in LA that's like good coffee, you know, like the hip, cool coffee drinkers go there. And it's like, you know, there's like a, I don't know, what are they called? Mixologist or barista or something makes it. I guess baristas are at all of them. Starbucks is just like a guy with a Mr. Coffee. But like apparently Starbucks is not where you're supposed to go for your first cup of coffee because it's not great coffee, they say, and everyone says they burn it or something. So here's what I have had coffee related. Hot chocolate, freaking tight, love it. And that's what I think is like, well then, so my friend Brad, who also doesn't drink alcohol and never drank coffee, he also doesn't wear pants. That sounds weird. He wears shorts. I don't know if he started wearing pants. My friend Brad never wore pants, like ever. And he lived in Massachusetts. He still lives in Massachusetts. He moved to California with us like back in 2003 or 4 whenever I first moved out here. And he stayed for a few years and he went back. And now he's in Massachusetts. He rides bicycles everywhere. Like that's how he gets around. Absolutely everywhere. It's just only on a bicycle. And in the winter in Massachusetts, it's like negative 20 degrees. He still rides a bicycle through Boston, through all of Massachusetts in shorts. He just doesn't wear pants. So this kind of gives you an insight, and it's like me and my friends. My brother Seth has never had alcohol, never had coffee. My brother Josh doesn't drink alcohol. My dad doesn't drink alcohol. My mom drinks wine every once in a while. None of my friends drink alcohol. None of my friends drink coffee. And people often say, are you guys Mormon or something? But like, no, they just don't. I don't know, like a group of friends I fell into, we just don't do stuff that we don't need. If it's like unnecessary or like, why, you know, I don't need it. I drink water. I'm thirsty, I drink water, or I drink juice. I don't really do anything that's, I mean, I'd eat cake. I love freaking cake, so that's unnecessary and that's extra. But the basic things that most people do, like alcohol and coffee, I just don't do it. Also none of us eat meat. There's like a lot of things we don't do. But then the things we do is like jump off a roof or like jump off a bridge into a river. It's fun, tight stuff, and rip freaking wheelies on dirt bikes. What's up? You know, cool stuff like that. Teen stuff. Excuse me. ASMR. NaySMR. That should be my intro. Welcome to NaySMR. Now I can't burp. I'm just joking. I should just do a big burp in the beginning so everyone knows what's going on and what they're in store for. So anyways, none of us do anything. We're all lame losers who play video games and we don't party. So the coffee, the reason I think I could get into it is because I've sort of eased myself into the idea of drinking. I just really want to just go to a coffee shop, hang out, and sip on a coffee. When I go to a coffee shop like Starbucks, I go and I eat a thing of yogurt and I look like a loser, and then I sit there and I'm wait, and then I leave. Because like a coffee you can sip and get a refill, and it's just nice. It's warm, and I like the idea of like a warm Christmassy drink. So what I have had at Starbucks and then Dunkin' Donuts in Massachusetts when I was there, what I get is a tall, but apparently you can get short at Starbucks. So they don't tell you that a short is even smaller than a tall. It's so stupid that the small is called tall. That's a whole other podcast for me to rant about things that are incorrect. Also, I'm going to do that next episode. I just decided ATM machine, you bunch of morons. Whoever wrote those signs needs to lose their job. I'm not going to get into it, but that sign is so incorrect. I'll save it for another podcast. So a tall Starbucks coffee or chai tea is what I drink. I get small as often as I can. So I get a small, or short, I should say, vanilla, soy, chai, tea, latte. Chai tea, not chai tea coffee latte or chai coffee latte, which they often do. And then I freaking gag when I sniff that coffee when they give me the wrong thing. So that's something I can drink, and it does have some caffeine in it. I just never have caffeine. If you obviously are listening to me, you hear the energy I have, I should never drink caffeine because I will never stop. I will never fall asleep. I will have too much energy and my head will explode. So I stay away from caffeine. I just don't really need it or ever want it. I try to avoid it. And I get it only if I drink a soda, I drink root beer. Or something that doesn't have caffeine, because I do drink green tea at night, and one time, actually two times, I drank caffeinated green tea, and I did not fall asleep till 7 in the morning. And everyone's like, that's insane, because there's not that much caffeine in a green tea. Well, when you don't have green tea, when you don't have caffeine ever in your life, and you have one at 7 p.m., you're gonna be awake for another 12 hours. That's what happened, and I can't explain it, and I didn't know why I wasn't falling asleep until I remembered. Oh yeah. I drank green tea earlier. So it wasn't like it was in my head. It's just I couldn't fall asleep because the caffeine was keeping me up. I just never have caffeine. So that's another reason I won't drink coffee. But when I do have the chai teas, I try to have them in the afternoon. So I do like a warm soy chai tea latte. That's cool. So I can kind of act like a coffee drinker when I'm at a coffee place. But I want to just sit down and actually try to drink a coffee. And I have so many people online who's like, you gotta try this kind of coffee, this is coffee. I want to have a black coffee. I want to have standard, straight up coffee. Nothing in it, nothing messed with, no experimentation, no, what do they call it, moco jocos and lupu poo-poos. I don't want to do any of that weird, that stuff. Then I'll try that stuff. Then I'll try a mocha, then an espresso, and a depresso, and all the other things. I'm going to go down the line and try a sip of them. But this is going to be a bad day. If I'm trying to sip all this stuff, I'm never going to fall asleep. I have to do this at 7 a.m. I want to, it's throughout this video and this documentation, I guess with all the sips combined, I would have drank a full cup of coffee. I just thought it would be a kind of a cool challenge to force myself to drink an entire cup of coffee. That sounds like torture to me. And some people were like, oh my God, I fall asleep with my face in a coffee and inhale it when I'm sleeping. Coffee is so not a thing for most people. But since I've just come down to this planet Earth, I need to experiment and see what's going on around here. So that's the plan. I will try drinking a coffee, and then this coming week, and then the next episode I'll talk about what it was like. And now for the remaining, is that the word? The remaining. So I realize I try to talk all smooth and relaxing so you guys can relax and listen to someone ramble, but I tend to get loud. I'm fighting my own brain in my own mouth, trying to be calm and quiet and cool and relaxing, but it's just not what I do. I can't do it. I get worked up. I'm going to, I guess for the remaining 12 minutes of this podcast, I'll talk about not drinking alcohol. I never drank alcohol, and there's still a reason I still don't like alcohol. I have this sort of negative. It's just not a thing. That nothing good ever really comes from alcohol. I think that what started me off is my dad didn't drink beer and he didn't drink alcohol, and so I was never around it. And my mom every once in a while had wine, so it wasn't like a thing that I saw, and my parents never did it. And I was also never really tempted to do it because I just didn't understand why you would. And I was very immature and very ignorant throughout my entire life. And I was like, why would I do that? Everything's fine. I'm happy. I'm good. I don't need that. And also I was told you don't do that, so I didn't do it. I obeyed my parents. So and all these other kids are drinking in the woods, getting in trouble, chased by cops. And those kids who were drinking in my school were often a lot of the kids who would pick on me and harass me and physically hurt me. And I got bullied a lot in school. I can talk about that in another episode. There's a lot of stuff for me to talk about. So I didn't want to be like those kids. I was like, screw those people. They're all horrible, angry, upset people. I'm not going to do what they do. I don't like them. So I associated alcohol with like these negative people, and I never did. And then I look up to my dad because he was like a cool guy. He still is. My dad's still around, doing good. My parents are actually vegetarian now. It's funny. I remember, I don't know, this random thought just popped in my head. I remember when me and Seth became vegetarian. Seth was like 16 and I was like 17 or 19 or something, 18 or 19, and they were like, oh, it's just a phase. And now my parents are vegetarian. All these years later, they are now vegetarian as well. So like my whole family, except for my brother Josh, is not vegetarian. Anyways, I don't know why I threw that up there. So that got just another thing that I don't do, and then my family doesn't do, and I like my family. And I was like, well, if my parents don't drink, why do I need to drink? I'm doing good. So it was not until 34 years later, it was when I broke my foot, when Keith Apicary broke my foot after SGC. If anyone remembers that, I jumped out of the ceiling from like 14 feet in the air and shattered my heel. And I was living in a house with my girlfriend at the time, the girl I was dating, and she was gone, and she was in Atlanta, and it was just me and Frank, the dog, sitting on the couch, and I had my knee scooter, and I was like, I'm gonna try alcohol. It just hit me. I was like, because I did not understand what being drunk was. Like, what happens to you? Does your brain change? Do you know who you are? It's dizzy? I just did not understand what could happen to you. It was kind of intimidating and scary, but I had 34 years of like observing people and hearing stories of like what alcohol does, so that I could I wasn't as afraid anymore to be like, okay, I won't die. And I was like, if I'm at the house, I'm just gonna stay inside this house. I'm gonna sit on this couch, and eventually I'll just fall asleep, and hopefully I don't have like a hangover or throw up or something. I was afraid of that, but I was mostly afraid of drinking the actual alcohol. I did not want to drink the alcohol. I was so afraid of the taste of it, because I've had like tiny little, I dipped my tongue in like a champagne glass. Like I remember I went to a wedding and they were like, you have to take a sip of the champagne when we cheers. And I was like, no, thank you. So I would just put the glass to my lips to make it look like I was sipping. So I would get a taste of it when it would touch my lips. I might have then like taste my lips later, and it was just freaking horrifying. It's disgusting. Alcohol is hands down the grossest thing you can put in your body. It feels and tastes like you're drinking battery acid. No alcohol tastes good ever. It's like, it's gone bad. That's what it is. It's something that has gone bad and you're drinking it. Why would that taste good? I guess you could say the same thing about mushrooms. Are mushrooms gone bad? I don't know. Science is like way beyond my understanding. Anyways, alcohol is freaky. It scares me, and it makes people do bad things. You crash, you die, people get beat up, people get robbed, people do bad things to people when they're drunk. So not for me. But it was a freaking mystery to me what being drunk was. And I was like, okay, I'm going to find out. I'm going to do it the one time and I'll be done. So I went and I took my knee scooter with my broken foot. I scooted on my scooter to the Co-op grocery store in Santa Monica. And I remember at the time, Siobhan, my girlfriend, had said, she was like, oh, how old was I at that point? I was 34, so she was 34, and she was like, I remember in my 20s, I would drink a whole bottle of wine in one night, and that stuck with me. And she's like 5 feet tall and weighs like 90 pounds. So I was like, oh, okay, if she drinks a bottle of wine in the course of a night, I'll just do that and get it done with. That's because I didn't know what it would take to get drunk, and I just wanted to get drunk and feel the feeling of being drunk and then be done with it. So I didn't want to be sipping on stuff, so I was like, I'll just drink the bottle of wine and be done with it. So that's what I did. I took my knee scooter to the Co-op. I got a bottle of red wine. I didn't know what to get, red, white, and I was like, well, red will probably taste more like grape juice or something. And I asked the guy in the store, I was like, what's good? And he's like, red wine's great. And it's like, okay, that's the one. So I bought a bottle of $16 bottle of red wine. I went back to the house. I leaned over the kitchen sink. I plugged my nose. Like I tipped my head back. Genuinely, this is exactly how I did it. And I chugged the bottle of wine. I did it in as I looked at the clock and I did it before the minute changed. So I did it in about 45 seconds. I was looking at the stove clock and I drank the whole bottle of wine, and I was like gagging. I was really gagging trying to get that down because it was so disgusting. I could still taste it even though I was blocking my nose, but I did it. I drank, I'd say like 95%, if not more, of that entire bottle of wine in 45 seconds. Rinsed my mouth out, ate some food, and I sat on the couch and just waited. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? So me and Frank were sitting on the couch. I was watching wrestling, and I remember, like, all of a sudden, like, it hit me like a wave. I was like, oh, whoa. It's like I thought I was like high or something because I just got so dizzy, and I thought it was so funny that I was like so dizzy, and I was like, this is crazy. If what it felt like was if you just got off a ride at an amusement park. I was so dizzy and tipping around, and I was just sitting on the couch. I was like, oh wow, I need to experiment with this. So I was walking around and I was like tipping around. I also had a broken foot, mind you, at this point. I had a cast on my foot. And I was just trying to like do that whole walk the police line and test myself, because it was very interesting. It was like a science experiment, honestly, for me. And I wish I had these videos. I'm really kicking myself now but I was ashamed, and I still kind of have like this guilt. I don't know if it's because I was like a straight edge kid in high school. That's like something else I should have mentioned. I was like super into like straight edge punk, but it was because I just identified with people who didn't do things, and I identified with like the punk scene a lot more. And I was like really into like old Youth Crew, hardcore, like Minor Threat and Teen Idols and stuff. So I kind of just like came from that world of like anti-authority and anti-doing the mainstream thing. So I'm still like embarrassed to be like, oh no, I don't drink, which I don't. Every once in a while I try it because it's still a novelty, it's still an exciting thing. But hey, I'll get to that in a second. So I'm doing all these things, I'm testing out what it's like to be drunk, and then I start filming myself, and I don't know what I was talking about. I genuinely was like high. I guess I was drunk, but I made a video. And I watched it the next day, and I showed Siobhan, and then I deleted it because I didn't want anyone to find out about it. Now I couldn't care less. I'm talking about it on a podcast. So and I'll tell you the lesson I've learned after all this, because I do tend to have a closed mind. But I feel like I have a closed mind when it comes to doing things that aren't good for you. But that can also spill over into other parts of your life. If you have closed mind mentality, it can like affect you in other ways where you shouldn't. You should just have an open mind about everything and do what's best for you. So anyways, I filmed this video on my phone. I wanted everyone, because Frankie, we call him Muffin Man, and I would call him the mayor of Muffinville, Frankenstein the dog, that is. So I was talking to the camera as if I was trying to rally everyone to vote for Frankie because he needs to become the mayor of Muffinville. It's like, everyone, we really need your votes. I sound drunk right now. We really need your votes. We need everyone to vote so Frankie can be the mayor of Muffinville because he can run the town better than everybody. And I was like just rambling about this stuff, and I watched the next day. I was like, what the heck was I talking about? And then that was pretty much my experience. It was a very fun experience, laughing at everything, laughing at myself, getting Frankie to become the mayor of Muffinville, doing like sobriety tests in my living room with a broken foot. And then I didn't get a hangover. Everyone always asks me if I got a hangover. I just went to sleep, and I woke up and I felt fine. And I have drank since. Like, I'd say I'd have alcohol like 3 or 4 times a year, and it's only if I feel like experimenting with it again. I do not drink for the taste of alcohol. It sounds horrible to admit this. I don't drink alcohol. I drink to get drunk, because it's so new to me still, even at 38 years old. That's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I guess that's an activity. I haven't done that in 5 months. I guess I'll go get drunk somewhere. And often I'll just walk somewhere, or obviously take an Uber. That's another thing. I'm paranoid about killing someone. I never want to kill someone. No one does. So I never, ever, ever drink if I'm going with someone who will then drive later. Everyone has to take an Uber or a train, or we walk there. Walking is the best option, in my opinion. So yeah, I've done it a handful of times. I kind of have mixed feelings about doing this, because I don't want to advertise for my audience of like drinking and advocating drinking, because I absolutely do not. I think no one should have it. It'd be great if it disappeared from this earth, because it's not a necessary thing, in my opinion. It's just an extra curricular thing that only harms people. So I think it's like if someone said to me, and I'm gonna get into other things here, like well, guns and stuff, but I'm not gonna get deep into it. But I think if something is hurting anyone and no one else really needs it, then get rid of it, because the chance that it could hurt more people is not worth it. Like if people were like, hey, skateboards are killing people, so everyone who skateboards, I'm sorry, you got to get rid of the skateboard. I'd be like, yeah, fine, sure. If it's that many people dying because of the thing that I care about, I don't need it. I don't need anything in the world that much, especially if it's something that's like hurting other people in a weird way. So I think guns need to go away. I also think it would be better if alcohol went away, and drugs. I've never done drugs, won't do drugs. But yeah, that's my, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here. I think most of my audience knows how I feel about things. I just want everyone to be alive and happy and not get hurt. And it's okay if we don't have the stupid things that we need to amuse us on this earth. There's plenty of other things. Look at the freaking clouds, man. They're amazing, and they're for free. And they're there all the time. Clouds are freaking tight. Sniff a flower. Flowers are freaking tight too. Ride a dirt bike or something. That's tight. But yeah, so I have like, it's obviously I kind of like mixed feelings for alcohol, because I get it. I understand it's fun and you need to escape, and you know, people want to relax, and not everyone. I also think I also don't think you need it, but I get that it's helpful for people who have like social anxiety and can't talk. Like I could go into any restaurant anywhere, get completely naked and dance on a table and not think twice about it. I just have never cared about public embarrassment, or like, you know, I've always been I've had zero inhibitions my entire life. So I think I'm lucky in that way. That's probably why I've never really drank, because I didn't need to drink. But I understand for people who need to have a little bit of things, something to loosen up to get to where they feel more comfortable. That's totally cool. And I also understand it's just kind of a fun thing to feel drunk sometimes and be wild and crazy. And it's weird for me to be saying this, because I felt so much the opposite in the past. Like, teenage me would be very upset with myself right now. I'd be like a sellout. I'd be a stupid old adult who's just doing the mainstream thing and doing what everyone else is doing. Because when I was a teenager, and I still have it in me, I'm like addicted to doing whatever other people are not doing, and do the opposite of what everyone. And it comes through in my content too, and the things I film and the things I write and the stuff I make. I want my stuff to be unlike anyone else's stuff ever. And if it's in any way I find out it's like someone else's thing, I will change it, because I just want to be super original, which is kind of obnoxious, honestly. And it's like, just make stuff, man. You're never gonna be that original, because everyone's done everything. You can't be that original. But that's partly why I stopped doing Talking Classics. It's like, well, I've done it, and everyone's doing video game content. It's like oversaturated, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else. I want to do things like Neutral, like my short film. But then you could say everyone's doing movies, everyone's doing short films. You can't do anything. Everyone's doing something. So anyways, you just gotta let go, shut the heck up, and do what makes you happy. And that's where I feel like I'm finally at 38 years old in my life. I feel like, I mean, you're always changing, you're always evolving and becoming a better person. But I'm also happy for the fact that I'm no longer like a judgmental straight edge teenager who's like throwing the beer out the windows at college parties, which me and my friends did. We'd go to parties and we'd take all the alcohol and dump it out, and then put it empty. We'd fill it back up with water and put it back in the refrigerators without people knowing. That was just annoying of us. But I did it. What am I gonna say? That's the truth. So yeah, I still have a little bit of that in me, but I'm happy I'm at the point now where I'm like, as long as everyone's safe and okay, that's all that matters. But I'm in no way an advocate for alcohol. This is like tearing me back and forth here. All right, I'm going to stop. This is the end of this episode. I'm just rambling about nothing now. This story's not advancing. But yeah, that's my whole shtick on not drinking coffee or alcohol. And I will try drinking coffee this week. And it's also, sorry if you're hearing creaking, because I'm leaning on this like this wooden desk, and it's kind of like it creaks a little bit. So hopefully it's not annoying. But stay tuned for the new episodes, because there will be much better microphones when I get like legit Joe Rogan microphones and stuff. And we'll have guests on here. So I'm really going up, taking it up a notch, making this a good podcast. So thank you for everyone who does listen. Thank you everyone who donates on Patreon. I can't do it without you. I can't pay my bills without you. So thank you for supporting me, keeping me around. If you like NaySMR, tell a friend. If you want to hear about someone rambling about things they've never done in their lives, I don't know what I'll talk about after this coffee thing. Oh, I guess I said something earlier about something. What the heck was that? I was like, oh, I'll talk about that later. Oh, getting beaten up. I should talk about my whole saga of high school. Man, it was tough for me. But I worked hard. Can't say the words, but I'm trying to say I turned out great, as you can tell. I don't know if you heard that fart. All right, unless I get the good Joe Rogan mics, you'll never hear my farts. I'll be farting the whole time. Okay, thanks for listening to episode 3 of NaySMR.